If you could use only one word to describe what your year was like in 2025, what would it be?
I'm going to say it was interesting. And I say it was interesting because we had flooding and wet weather all the way up to the beginning of July. We start planting broccoli fairly early, but then we continue out through the season. And I recall starting to plant a field of broccoli 1st of July, and we had to stop because the rain started. And by the following day, the creek had overflowed and went down through the center of that field. Those creek bottom farms happen to be hydric soils, which means they're much heavier. So we couldn't get back into those fields, but we had broccoli we had to plant. So we jumped out of there, went up high on the hills where shale ground was, and we were able to start planting in there within a couple of days. And then, of course, the water shut off. So that same field planted the same day, hydric soils go to the shale soil, and we suffered big time from excessive dryness. So that's why I'm saying it was a very interesting year.
How are you preparing for the 2026 production year?
Not a lot is changing. Our marketing's pretty solid. I would like to begin planting broccoli by seed in the field instead of 100% transplanting. So my eyes are set on, I've got a pretty good education on it, but I want to learn more on planting, what planters to use, and what can I do to be successful in planting seeded broccoli in the fields.
And if there was like one innovation that that would transform things, what would that be?
I think my innovation had more to do with my planting seeded broccoli, because it's going to take quite a bit, to go from transplanting to seeding, and requires quite a bit different planter, and the whole spray schedule, and what chemicals to be able to use, and so on, and even planting to harvesting. We pretty much know the broccoli is a 60-day from transplant. So there's quite a bit there. So I'm going to call that innovation.
Makes sense. Sounds like you would need maybe different equipment, and you'd have to have maybe a later start with it because you're going directly outside. Is that correct?
Correct. So we're going to be compared to planting seeds in the greenhouse, we're popping those up in a few days because we can control the temperature. So what time of year can we plant? Can we plant as early as we do in the greenhouse? What do we got to do to keep the soil moist enough to get those seeds to germinate? What's our plant spacing? Because, we may have to take in not as good of a germination. And then the herbicides, I think, are, going to be a different, messing around with the weeds that are there. Fungicides, diseases, I think, are going to be the same. We are going to be utilizing some ground that we just were fortunate enough to get. It's more river bottom ground, so we're going to be working with some much better topsoils. So I'm anxious to be able to utilize some of those soils. So I think we're getting on some soils now that are going to be conducive to be able to advance our, if you want to call it, technology. But the cost to purchase transplants and then the physical planting of them is very expensive. So I'm looking forward to, shaving down some of the costs of production. But it'll be interesting how long it's going to take to be able to educate and do a good job with the sedum.